How you guys doing? This is Andrew with FloryPB, and for this Weird Part Wednesday, it is the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July to everyone in America. And for this 4th of July, we're going to do something a little more special. Very, very cool part we're going to feature on this one. And basically, because it's 4th of July, I want to do something by an American company. So there's two big American companies that always made WDP markers and parts. And that was Warp Sports, but Warp Sports made stuff for cockers as well, and basically many different markers, not just angels through their time. But the only company that was really the custom shop that made really custom stuff and cool angels and the angels that you've seen in the magazines that Dynasty was playing with and all that, and that was Cobra. So Cobra made, this is a Cobra IR3, a Mamba IR3, and the rare part we're going to talk about today is the Cobra single trigger 90 frame. Very, very rare, very cool frame that will take off this IR3. And it's an IR3 frame, and it's a 90 single. There's very few of these out there. It was a really cool idea. You've seen single trigger frames made for the LCD and the IR3 as well, but this is just the Cobra one, so might be the only 90 single trigger frame in existence for any marker, actually. So it's a very unique thing that they did here. It's not the only frame Cobra ever made, but it was the first one that I remember them making that was different than the standard LCD frame or the IR3 frame. Just pop the grips off. This is a marker we have to actually rebuild one day, but that's kind of down the line. So it's just your standard IR3 frame to set up. Then we're going to have to take that one out. It's just a really, really well machined piece here. Cobra was known for being a solid machine shop with the parts they made. And, you know, you can tell. The fit and finish on this thing is incredible. One thing they should have added was an Allen key hole there. But it's a very small complaint. Otherwise, a very cool frame. Yeah, it's super light and snappy. This is a micro switch version of the board. This is one of the, forget which mem these are that are micro switch, but still a micro switch mem board. And this is all the regular IR3 frame stuff. It's exactly set up like an IR3 frame. Just has the integrated Cobra snatch grip on it, which was machined beautifully. There's a flat section here. It's curved there. They put a little detail work in it there. Definitely a hard piece to machine as far as contouring. They had to contour this, all 3D contours. So a lot of work went into this. This was machined this way for this flap. That's kind of standard with any WGP frame. But it's just nice to see it has the strap mark. Everything that you see in a standard WDP frame is in this frame, plus it's a single trigger, which is just pretty awesome. Has the 3 positions for your trigger hinge, even though you don't really use many of them. They kept everything metric. The trigger pin itself is a beautiful style where you have the threads threaded onto the rods. This is a turn down pin, so they turn this down to using this. Trigger itself is nice. There's no real machine marks on it. Like, it's just a quality piece. The set screws, it almost feels like a magnetic trigger how snappy this is. That's how cool, especially when you put it in the front hinge hole. It nearly feels magnetic, how snappy this trigger is. It's a really cool feel. And you don't get that in other triggers. And it's such a nice, tight fit and finish on this. It was a very well done frame. They did their stuff very well. All the Cobra stuff was really cool. You know, some of it might not have been the best. It could have been, like, engineering-wise, but definitely their fit and finish was always top-notch. The wiggle is so little. Like, you don't see wiggle, this little bit of wiggle in trigger frames outside of like the '05 speed and up when they had the pin that was through and solid with the dual screws up top to hold it in place. That's probably the most solid trigger that there is. But this is a close second. It's super little wiggle on these, and they're just cool frames. I don't really like 90 frames, but the single 90, this particular one is really fun to play with. It's really cool to hold. And it's not the right color with this particular marker, but when I found this, I had to grab it for my Cobra project. The Cobra project has been going on for a long time. It's all standard stuff. But, yeah, it's a great frame. Really hard to find. Like, you can't get over how snappy this is. If you ever have the chance to play with one, or just even feel one, they're so snappy. They're weighted so well. They cut all the weight out of here. They have extra milling here. They brought the weight back, and they added tons of weight there to let it really fall back correctly, especially when you put it in the front hole like that. And it's a cool frame. And yeah, that's going to be the part we're going to discuss today. And this was made by Cobra again, back in, I'm assuming 03 was around the range that this was made. And I'm not sure how many got made. If anyone knows exactly how many of these were made, that would be cool information. Because the Cobra history, I know they got bought once by a different company. I forget which one it was, but I think it was somewhere out in the Midwest. I think they were originally from California. Then they got bought by a Midwestern company when the A1 was around. And they made some custom A1s, but they made custom Angels from the LED to the LCD and then the IR3. That they didn't make an 04 Speed, but they did make a custom A4 Fly. And that was the last one they made. They didn't have. They had a G7 as well, so I'm lying about that. They also had the Cobra G7, which is pretty rare. The trigger pull is insane on this. You can actually walk it. That's so funny. But yeah, they made everything up to the G7. Then they kind of went out of business, and someone bought them. I believe a company from the Midwest bought them. And then they made the A1 stuff. They made the, I think it was a Fly by the time that came out. So they missed the G7 Fly and they missed the original A1. Then it came back out as Cobra parts for the A1 Fly. They had a Cobra A1 Fly, but that wasn't any milling. That was just it was laser engraved. This was laser engraved on it. The snake, the Cobra. Come on, where are you? And that wasn't, it wasn't the same company, but they did have a cool look to them. I think they had a couple custom parts in them, so that was kind of nice. But Cobra markers always came with, this isn't really about the marker, this is about the frame, but Cobra markers always came with upgrades, Cobra upgrades. Were they really that great? Probably not. Their detents were really nice. One of the only detents back then that could work with the old Halo hoppers and help the Angel, and was rebuildable, which was nice. I mean, Angel detents don't really die, but the Cobra ones were really nice because you could rebuild them. And they made their own bolts. Those were, I mean, it's a good idea because it's an open faced, which is better than the Venturi face bolts that came with these markers. But Jesus, I'm going crazy here. It was better than the standard Venturi, but I think I have one in here. But it didn't really solve the problem that WDP finally solved with the Kiss bolts, where it's the rollback issue you get. It actually made the rollback issue probably worse. Come on, that's not super great. Doesn't fit with these. Right, this is got the Cobra bolt with it, so it's just open faced. It's a nice bolt, nice idea. They ramp it. This is the way you're supposed to do an open face bolt. This is a much better design than the one that's in the Angel originally. But it's just implement's not perfect because this marker isn't perfect with its setup because of the losing my train of thought here. It's not perfect because of the feed neck issue we got going on here. So you get rollback with them. But back then, this was probably the bee's knees of what you could get as far as the custom Angel went. Not that the IR3s were particularly that great when they came out. But we'll go over that in more detail in another different episode. But yeah, the IR3s are definitely behind the times, even though there were some really cool things they did with them. Then you had the Mambas, which is this one, that were, you know, just cool to look at. Really cool milling pattern. Really great milling that these guys did. They had really unique parts that they'd add to your stuff. You can get Cobra everything on an Angel. You can get Cobra breech knobs. You got the volumizers, obviously. They had feed necks. They weren't clamping, but they were Cobra feed necks. They really didn't look any different from, like, Cap so much or anything. But they were all from this stuff. This is a Cobra barrel that came from them. So they had a ton of different things. And of course, the incredibly rare single trigger 90-degree Cobra frame. Which, you know, if you ever find one, grab it if you can, because they are cool. And it's probably one of the only frames you can find. That you're never going to find another one, basically, if you find the first one. So there's not many of these out there. I don't know the exact number, like I said. If anyone does, or anyone has a better history of it, let me know. It'd be really cool to find out more about these, but definitely a great product. This is for the 4th of July. Went over Cobra a little bit. Went over the frame. I got some more Cobra things to show you guys going forward. Got their 86 frame as well to show you guys. But, yeah, that should be it for this episode. I think it's our 3rd episode of our Weird Part Wednesday. And, again, happy 4th of July, guys. And that's it for now.